Great morning, everyone. Oh, so I see, what was there, an assassination attempt in Minnesota? And of course, the crazies. Even though the guy had a list with, the Democrats on it, this was a Democrat, he was appointed by Walz. No, he was appointed by a Republican, and Walz just let him stay on. But of course, they're going to spin it, it's those evil Democrats. Yeah. So no, it's another one of these Looney Tunes, off-the-wall crazies, Republicans. But anyway, I just saw that when I got up this morning. So I'm going to use the vintage deck, and we'll just look and see what it's going to say is happening today. Why do I use the vintage deck so often? Because this is got the best card stock, the easiest to get a good shuffle with. I like the way that it shuffles. It's easy to shuffle, and that's why I use it. I think a lot of my other decks are so much prettier and stuff, but this one shuffles well. So anyway, so the reading's about leadership, the strength of leadership or lack thereof, we'll have to see, or could be just somebody that puts something into motion. Okay, energy coming in, what's being birthed in America, and investigating, looking deeper. So far, 4 cards, 4 major arcana. So what's going on today? The delusion, 5th major arcana. Delusion by the dark of night. And we have ruled by the emotions. This ruled the emotional instability, if you will, an emotional instability. Challenge is the next motion, the next move. Rapidly figuring out a next move. Potential outcome. This is moving, where it's being driven to, and it's about the life choices. And outside influence is what's being fed, the message that's being fed to people about this abuse of power. Okay, so the strength of the leadership, okay, this is based on what's trying to be sold. Okay, the merchant, the desires that are pushing this. When it comes to what's being birthed in America, looking deeper and judging it. The delusional mental realm, again, this is not the genuine spirituality, but the fake, the one that's turned on its head. Okay? So what's going on today? Figuring out the next move rapidly when it comes to the Republicans. Okay, so they're going to be having some sort of powwow today. Excuse me for using the word powwow. I know some Native Americans take offense at it, but I'm using it in the colloquial terms. Meeting, getting together, hashing things out. Not as a sacred dance. Speaking of powwows, I guess this next year is the last one, big one, that they're having up here in New Mexico. So that's a sad thing to see go, but I have to say, I did go one year And I love powwows dearly. I used to live in Arizona, and I would go all the time and dance and participate. But when I went to the one here, the big one, it was just too manufactured for me, for my taste. I didn't enjoy it. It was just too, it's kind of like going to New York versus if you're more of a person that likes nature or, something more quiet, just overdone. Same thing in Japan. I don't like Tokyo. I love Kyoto. I love the smaller, the older places, but Tokyo, it's like New York. You can have it. No, don't want it. Anyway, back to the reading. So the potential outcome, where this is moving, the life choices when it comes to their world, and outside influence, what's being fed when it comes to this abuse of power, things that are up in the air, and the overarching thing is a lot of concern. Concern about the choices being made, what's being pushed by guess who? Trumpenstein, the strength of what, and the nightmare scenario that's coming along with it. This is controlling the actions being controlled, a judgment about the actions that are happening now, and looking deeper into what's being birthed in America. Next we have, of course, his mental delusion run by the emotions, and for him it's all about, living the good life. For him, what he can gather and collect, nothing to do with caring about America. This is about his own profiting, okay? So the Republicans today, the challenge is that they are in a fight, in a struggle, figuring out their next move rapidly. Potential outcome, it's about sharing, moving forward, choices being made, and what's being offered up. When it comes to these fishtails, the abuse of power, keeping things up in the air, and its surrounding, guess what? Epstein things. Now we saw yesterday Comer is trying to slow walk things when it comes to releasing the Epstein files. And it looks like they're in a bit of conundrum. Are they going to choose party? Or are they going to choose, because their constituents are not happy? Do they fear their constituents more, or do they fear Trump more? Okay? So about what's being put out. So let's see, take this out of the way, the outside influence, what's being fed when it comes to this taking control of keeping it up in the air. So what we have is this leadership where it's moving to, how it's affecting their world and their desires, what they're going to try to sell. The center of it all is being ruled by the emotions and this delusional dark government thing that's going on now. They're feeling what's coming in America with the Republican Party. They're trying to judge and figure out the next move, looking deeper in this, and this is, again, ruled by the emotions and rapidly moving. This thing with Epstein is not going away, okay? So they're looking deeper at the strength of this emotions and the judgment by the American people, their constituents, what they're trying to sell with it comes to this dark night and this delusion, and just the dark government thing that he's trying to keep going rapidly, figuring out the next life path, figuring out the next move for the Republican Party, how his delusion is affecting the world, what they're seeing, and the dark government, how they're going to move forward. What are they going to do? This dark government, or are they going to actually get to some sort of genuine spirituality and move things and quit protecting the criminal and thief? So let's see what it says in a clarifying read. So it looks like they're kind of coming to this point of, I guess what's going on now, one of the Democrats says, look, I'm not leaving, and this has to do with gerrymandering. Either you get your gerrymandering, okay? You release the Epstein files in totality, you get your gerrymandering, or you cover up the Epstein files and you don't get your gerrymandering. It looks like that's kind of what they're saying is on the table. So this reading could have to do with that. But let's see what the clarifying thing has to say here. Let's look at this. So the center of it all, yeah, backing off, mentally just giving up, restricting, okay? Don't want to think about it. We got the next move. They're taking some sort of an action and looking at the rulership of the mind, okay? What is the most important with this? Okay? Because they don't get both. They can't have both. So they don't like the harvest. They don't like the flowering of this. It's become a nightmare. And they've got to charge forward. So the mind is spinning on this nightmare, the conundrum they've got themselves in now. Let's see what's on the other side, what's being worked on when it comes to this harvest and justice, okay? And tempering. And above it all is, of course, the White House, the evidence that's being held, what's being hid. Okay, the swords are out. They know their jobs are on the line and they want some sort of a victory. They're juggling this. It's about the message, the continued fight, and it's a tower moment for Trump. Okay, tower moment for Trump. So it's either their jobs or Trump's, is what it looks like. Because we've got Trump, go back through the tower moment, the ongoing push when it comes to the message, juggling things, wanting a victory, but the swords are out when it comes to what's hidden, when it comes to the evidence against the White House, okay? So not looking good for Trump. They're working on tempering some of the justice. You know, they were like, well, we want to let the files out, but we weren't scrubbed of anything of Trump. Well, that's not going to fly, okay? They've got the nightmare thing going on now with what's flowering. And, you know, they kind of want to charge away in another direction. We just like to put this to rest. So, yeah, today they are in this conundrum of figuring out what direction. Do we throw Trump under the bus, the criminal and thief, and expose him for what he is? And perhaps keep our jobs, getting this redistricting, keeping us in power, allowing Project 2025 to go forward? Or do we protect Trump and lose the rest? Push to the edge. They're feeling a little push to the edge, okay? Want to keep the lid on things. It's the nightmare going on when it comes to the absolute truth, okay? So on that note, I'll leave that here. We'll have to see if the cards are right or wrong, what plays out today when it comes to that new information going to come out. So let's see what it says. Thanks for tuning in this morning. We'll see you online.